How is Sober Paddy here? I'm with Nigel Marsh, who is the author of Fat, 40 and Fired and a host of other books and interesting things. Nigel, you've had a really interesting experience with alcohol, and you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. I started drinking when I was probably 13, 14.
Yep.
Immediately started binge drinking. So it wasn't the French experience of glass of wine mixed with water over dinner with your mum and dad. It was 2 bottles of cider with your mates in the woods.
Yeah.
Right, so straight in, 100 miles an hour, off we go. And basically did that for increasingly badly for a decade and so. And then as became a young man working in London, just drinking ferociously, having a fine old time. And then realised in 1983 that I was probably drinking too much, to be fair to say. And just sort of sat with that thought for 10 years and kept on doing it. And then in 1993, I read a book that had a questionnaire in it that was, are you an alcoholic? And you add up your score. And so I did it, and then I flipped to the back of the book to see what my score meant. And it just had in big letters, you are definitely an alcoholic, seek help. So I didn't, and I thought I could all do it myself. And so I set in train a process that I didn't know at the time would last for 10 years, but it did last for 10 years, where I tried every tactic under the sun, including denial, to moderate my drinking. Everything. Drinking on alternate days, only drinking beer, not drinking beer, only drinking spirits, not drinking for a month at a time, only drinking 6 drinks a week, all that stuff. Right? All of it complete lunacy, because obviously I had a problem. But I only came to my senses in 2003, 10 years later, where I went to a rugby match and got off my face on beer, and then drove my young son home. And it was fine. We didn't have an accident or anything else, and just got home. But for some reason, I don't know, the dear Lord or somebody, the next morning I was just struck with this thought. I could have been in an accident and killed him. And then I'll be interviewing, chatting with you today, saying about how I haven't got 4 kids, I've got 3, because one of them died in a car crash, and it wasn't because I was drinking.
Yeah.
Just the enormity of my denial. It was crushing. I just decided on that day that I would never, ever touch a drop again. And to date, I haven't. And that's now 8.5 years.
Brilliant. And in terms of a support, then, did you go through the AA and that sort of thing?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I don't do AA properly, but I still find it the most magical, moving, supportive thing to do. So I've probably been 10 times in total over that time. But to go and to listen to the stories of people who've been through it, and the drama for me, and I haven't got anything to tell anyone else, but just my story. The drama for me is I can't have another one. Right? So people have got their own stories, but if you go to AA, one of the key things for many, many, many people, and definitely alcoholics, is there isn't the notion of just the one. So my father-in-law or my mate saying, just have the one, mate. No, I can't just have the one. And the trouble is, I can in that moment. Because if I started drinking now, if you're a lovely couple, and if you said, have a beer, I go, well, what could be the harm? I would have a beer, and I wouldn't have another one. And it would be fantastic. There wouldn't be any problem. I wouldn't go off and get smashed tonight. 2 weeks' time, off my face. It's a very clever disease. I'd have one, then I'd say, well, I had a nice drink with that nice couple, so what's the problem? And then I have another one, then I'd say, well, I wouldn't mind meeting in a pub. And you're on a conveyor belt. There are some people, and maybe some of the people who go onto your blog will be thinking about this. There are some people who you cannot drink. There is no such thing as the moderating. There are many, many people, which is great. My wife is one of them. She can drink whenever she wants. She leaves drinks. Have you got any idea how angry I would be? One of my tactics in the first 10 years was I would secretly, she wouldn't know this, drink at her pace.
Right.
So I'd be sitting there in the pub going, would you fucking pick up your drink? I'm staring at your glass. Why did you buy it if you aren't going to drink the bloody thing? So there's some people who moderating isn't the thing. And there are other people who, Kate, she can buy a drink, she can leave it. If she went to a party and she really fancied a wine and they didn't have any wine, well, she wouldn't drink.
Right.
For me, if I went and I fancied what I wanted was a really cold lager, and they didn't have one, they only had warm wine, then warm wine is. Great, what a good idea.
Lovely, yeah. Why did we try this before? And just with dealing with the sort of pressure that people externally might put on you, you mentioned your father-in-law and different types of people, you know, there does seem to be that sort of, I don't know, I suppose it's other people's problem, though they can't seem to let you get away without drinking. How do you deal with that? Is it just something you can naturally deflect because you have a sort of strong personality, or are there mechanisms that you have?
No, I find it really, really tough. And there's a variety, I mean, it's been 8 years now, so there's a variety of techniques. One is, don't hang around with arseholes.
Yeah.
Yep. But there's another group, a larger group, who's a really well-intentioned, loving friends and family. Right, so obviously the idiots who want to get you back on the drugs or the drink, they haven't got your best interests at heart, so don't hang around with them. But you will be surprised, not you I'm sure, but other people watching may be surprised at the people who are the worst are those closest to you. And they're not doing it to try and fuck you up, they're doing it because they don't understand. It's a really complex issue. And I think there's a lot of responsibility that we should take as the people who have given up, is don't be sanctimonious about it, don't be sniffy about it, don't be boring about it. If they're going out on the lash to get smashed, well, don't spoil their night by going along and looking like you're sucking sour lemons. Say, I can't make it tonight, or you know. So we've got responsibility. But I think I think for many people, especially if you haven't killed anybody or had a leg amputated, you didn't hit the worst rock bottom that is possible in this life.
Yeah.
You deciding to give up drinking, definitely in my life, is really confronting and challenging for other people. Because if Nigel's got a drink problem, and he never drank as much as I did anyway, what the hell does it say about me?
Right.
So I can't, just emotionally and intellectually, I cannot admit that he's an alcoholic.
Sure.
Because then I've got to look in the mirror. So then I will, so they're not doing it, so that I have to, it would make me feel better if as in the other person, if Nigel would have a drink. Phew, fucking then I can relax.
Yeah.
So it's a really complex issue. And now I find the absolute thing makes it easier. So when when my mate's in England drinking, it's quite difficult because you go, well, you've known me for 15 years as a pisshead, and now I'm going to come out and not drink. Well, you can understand why people would be a bit surprised. Yeah. If you, emigrated in 2001 and gave up in 2003, there are lots of people, poor bastards, who've only ever known the boring night. Yeah, they've never known me drunk. They've never seen me on a pub table leading a sing-song. They just know me as me, and that makes it sort of easier. But so for me, there is no debate or option. I just don't drink, and I'm not going to ram it down your throat. I just don't do it, and then that can be rather than if you say, I don't think I should drink tonight, forget it. You forget it all night. That is the chance for them to egg you into doing it. If you just say nice and calm, and you often do, no, I don't drink. Yeah. Then that makes it easy.
Is there any way of replicating that sort of buzz you get from alcohol? Obviously not through taking other drugs and stuff. But do you find can you get to the dizzying heights of euphoria and random insanity using sort of natural means, or just using environments or people, or is it
for me,
something you have to completely eliminate?
Yeah, I think I'm not a drug person. It's a sort of phase I always missed out. It is, I can't replicate getting off my face, and I don't want to. So muddying reality, my consciousness. But in terms of euphoria, I had an experience where in one of my moderating 10 years, the failed moderating 10 years, I had a month where which I always used to do, which is pathetic because I can always give up for a month and then I go back and get on the piss again. What's that proof? Anyway, but I take months off, and I did it when I was doing some stand-up comedy, and before I'd never done stand-up comedy without being off my face. I would get smashed before I went on stage and then do the comedy. And so I was absolutely petrified. A, I'm scared. B, I don't think I'm going to be funny, and it's just a very... And I did 3 gigs, stone cold sober, and it was no different. I'm too bloody stupid to learn the lesson then, but there absolutely is. I've had more joy, genuine, euphoric, dance out loud, wave your hands in the air, scream out loud joy, sober, than drunk. Yeah. I may have thought, when I'm talking crap, being sick in the back of a taxi and having fun, right? But doing a stand-up gig or meeting you guys, it's fantastic. You're authentically joyous. So I suppose it's the difference between, pretend joy. You know, I think I'm having a good time
Yep.
because I've taken 6 tablets and I'm doing this in a nightclub at 4 in the morning, and actually having joy.
Yeah, brilliant. Nigel Marsh,
Ah, my pleasure,
thank you
mate.
very much, mate. It's
Yeah.
great to talk to you. Thank you very much for your
Go
opinion.
Munster.
That's it. On the Sour Paddy, that's been Nigel Marsh. Get up out of the bleeding pub, the laddies. Go on, get up.